Right? They got a lot. No, they got a lot better.
Okay, just a couple minutes and we'll get started here. So we're just about there.
Well, happy birthday to you. I know it's coming up. 24 or 25? 47? You're right. You know. I don't know. I was giving it to that. No way I get no one there. They probably nope. And they probably using to yeah. I think we were talking about sorry. I wish you better luck.
I have a pair of scissors that were we took out there. Kind of.
Heritage board, the dad had donated so that we could,
You obviously have my contact information. If you want everything all fun, it's probably Bob Ward. Every time I say this, I so German. Almost the crazy one,
Okay, good evening, everybody. We're gonna call the meeting to order here tonight. Thanks everybody for coming up and out and bringing the sunshine today. And we've had a nice little stretch of sunshine, so. Mr. Jim Baum, you wanna start making your way up front, please? All right.
I may not be able to get down.
And our mission statement, the Cereal City Lions Club is a Battle Creek community service organization that supports and promotes community involvement and provides assistance to persons with sight, hearing, diabetes, and other impairments, as well as supporting zone, district, state, and international projects. Okay. Secretary Dorothy, do we have attendance?
attendance is completed. I do need to share something with all of you folks at the table. I went to district training last weekend, my second year of taking it, and you always learn something new. And what I found out was you have to approve the minutes. So I email out your minutes when I send out your agendas on Monday. I also have a copy of the minutes on the table. And I am going to state that if there are no corrections or changes, I will post them as written. So if anyone has any changes, speak now or forever hold your peace.
All right.
But this is how it will be from now on, as I will just say, minutes have been issued. Please let me know if any changes, otherwise they will be accepted.
What was that?
Okay.
I move we accept.
All right, are there any changes to the minutes? Sent out? Okay, so approved. All right, thank you, Dorothy.
Yes, I have a copy of, I know Bob Ward's one, I know Muriel's one. And
Mary Wall,
great,
yeah,
oh, I need people.
and you.
And you, oh, yeah, I can never forget me. Fellow Lions, we say, fellow Lions, fellow Lions, happy birthday, fellow Lions. Everybody on their feet, including our guys now. They're up to dinner, guys, now? Okay, so happy birthday to fellow Lions. So that will be out. So we may have to do it the second time. There's 4 or 5 of us. There's 5 Lions in May. There we go. Ready, set, happy birthday. Hi. Winter's gonna get cold.
There you go. We have to, okay, good for you. We want people hungry and they'll keep saying. Let's do it again. Happy
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Oh.
I'm supposed to hear those stories as well. About, have you heard that prophecy? Robin, have you ever heard, have you been to Lions Club? Did they sing? They didn't sing. Well, come on up here, Robin. They're gonna sing to you. And you know what? If you don't like the way it sounds, say Jim, and say Jim, let's do it again. And that's when I see you. Okay, they don't do it. Every time you do it better. Okay? So do those Lions roar. And remember, we got a roar at the end of the presentation of the thing. And I want to hear the back row. Because I never hear the back row.
Liar, liar, liar.
Back row?
Liar, liar, liar.
Ready, set, hit it.
Don't you hear those lions roar? Don't you hear those lions roar? You can hear them. Those lions, hear those lions, hear those lions roar.
Oh. God bless America. I sang the other day at Bucket at the state convention, and I forgot to sing God bless America. And they were all in a hurry and all that stuff. And I really take my time when I read the song. I don't get harassed by people that want things done in 2 minutes or 5 minutes. But I forgot God bless America. I feel bad. I didn't sleep that night. Hey, God bless America. And I know you know the song, and I want to hear the vigor, V-I-G-O-R.
That drinkable?
Ready, set, hit it. God bless America.
Republic. One nation. Justice for all.
Thank you, Jim, and Muriel has the invitation here tonight.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all of the many blessings you have given us. We thank you for the many workers of the chili cook-off, the diligent committee that worked so hard to make it a success. The blessings of our whole Lions Club, each and every member, is so important. Thank you for the beautiful weather. What a delightful day. Thank you for the success of the officer training last Thursday. May all of the clubs benefit from gaining knowledge of the, Lions. We are happy to welcome our speaker this evening, Dr. Robin Steeley DDS. We pray for our upcoming projects, blanket making, kids site screening, LPG food bank outing, Cereal City Breakfast Festival, Cereal City Athletics Balloon Festival Run. These are all great projects with lots of exposure to our community. We are grateful for your presence in all that we do. Please protect our members who will be going to the Lions State Convention in Muskegon. May they bring back good information. Please guide us safely home. We are always remembering our motto, we serve. Amen.
Thank you, Marianne. Okay, let's, take a minute and go around the room and see who's all here tonight. Brian Trainer, Cereal City Lion. Roger Bossi, Cereal City Lion.
Kate Smith, Cereal City Lion. Diane Elliott, Cereal City Lion. Muriel Walters, Cereal City Lion, and a member of Aftrica area Lions. Jane Cook, Cereal City Lion.
Dee Davis, Cereal City Lion.
Bob Hurley, Cereal City Lion. Cereal City Lion, and our guest and speaker tonight, Dr. Robin Steeley. Dorothy Bossi, Cereal City Lion. Harriet Sprigg, Cereal City Lion.
Roger Sprigg, Cereal City Lion.
Cereal City Lion, Teresa Best.
Cereal City Lion, Mike Guzman. Cereal City Lion, Derek Boone. Cereal City Lion, Bob Lloyd.
Judy Butler, Cereal City Lion. Excuse my full name. Lori Butler, Cereal City Lion.
Tom Jacob, Cereal City Lion.
Cereal City Lion, charter member, songwriter, Jim Blum.
And anybody on Zoom tonight, Roger? Nope. Nobody on Zoom?
Nobody on Zoom.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. All right, we're changing up our normal routine. If you check your agenda here a little bit, we're gonna cover some business first before our speaker, then we'll help, some more meals get out and a chance for you to enjoy your meal before our speaker talks. Just a quick note, as you look at your programs or your rosters under the program committees, some of these, months are a little short, and we need some extra help for that, especially next meeting. Mary, this month had Mary and John Stiff, and John's been ill, so he's not able to be here. Next meeting, Mary will not be here either. So I'm looking for a couple people to help with the games next meeting. If you could see me or see Mary, that would be great. Okay. White cane, we'll kind of go in order here. A few things we've had since the last meeting. We had our white cane collection, and I'll let our chairman, Kay Smith, talk about that.
Okay, so far with White Cane, we have brought in $2,358 with another check coming in. Jim Baum went out and beat the bushes for us and got some of his friends to donate. about 250 to 275 maybe coming in from there, so we're real good this year on that thing.
All right, yep, thanks for all the planning with that, Kay. It's good to, it went ahead, remember this year we were out at the new Horrocks location on a Thursday and Friday, and I think it went very well. Looking ahead to next year, actually they moved the convention next year, which will be the third Saturday rather than the fourth Saturday in April. So that gets that off White Cane Week, so, you know, whoever chairs that committee next year may look at Friday and Saturday. So, and again, Horrocks, I think would be a great location, but maybe we can do the Saturday next year as well. So thank you, Dave, for all your help with the, White Cane collection. All right. After the end of that week, our busy week, we had the district convention that was over in Jackson at the Commerce Center over there. We had a nice turnout for all the, from our group over there. How many are here that went to the district convention? Several of us were over there with Jim, so that was a good turnout. The theme was Hawaiian luau theme, so lots of Hawaii shirts and competitions, a lot of fun for that. Just to kind of review, Teresa Guest, our own Teresa Guest, gave one of the breakout sessions where she talked about mobility training for the sight impaired and weight gain and the correct way to lead people around and help with that. We had lots of awards that were given out. Our club did very well for those that weren't there. And if you've not read, Roger did a great review in his newsletter, but it just kind of recap that. Teresa Guest received the Charles Ware Fellowship Award. Hope Swank received the Governor's Appreciation Medal. Dorothy and I both received the International President's Certificate of Appreciation, which is nice. And our own Rod Derbasi brought home the hardware with a John Noel Fellowship and an International President's Leadership Medal. So congratulations to Serial City and all the winners of the guests for that, for participating. Okay. The guest speaker was past International Director Jose Marrero, and he enjoyed being there for the group. He was there all day, and sounds like he was there into the night. having some fun. He gave a great speech, and I don't know how many of you have read the book Who Moved the Cheese? It's kind of a management manual, but it basically talks about change, okay, and dealing with change and how you get accustomed to doing the same thing all the time, always going the mice in the maze, were always going right where the cheese was, and then one day the cheese was not there, and how you react to what they did, and how you reacted to that, and what you had to do different to find the cheese. And it was all about, you know, embracing change, realizing change needs to happen sometimes. It's a good book if you ever want to take a quick look through that. So again, it was great to hear from him as well. Okay. So convention was good. And any other thoughts on that from anybody? Convention? And we had several people that were on the planning committee and things for that, so that went very well. Okay. Following that, the next week, May 4th, I guess that was just last week, wasn't it? Last week, Thursday. We had district training over at Vandercliff High School, and Roger Bossi can give us an update on that.
Yes, so we had district training. This was officers and other roles training for the clubs. And we had a pretty good crowd. We had probably over 70 people involved total, 60 or so on site and 10 to 12 on Zoom. And our own Roger Spriggs gave the president's seminar and got rave reviews. Lots of great comments on the evaluation. Barry Allen did the treasurer's report, which was his practice for the state convention seminar that he's giving on being a transparent treasurer. So we do have recordings, haven't reviewed them all, but we do have recordings of all the training sessions. So if anybody, and who all came to training? So let's see who all. So we have several people in our club that came to training. Thank you very much for coming out to that. We had over 20 clubs well, we had 20 clubs represented in one way or another and one other district. So Brent Barrissey from, District C2 came down to do the membership, seminar, and he did a great job with that. So there's, more follow-up on that, and I'll be putting all the participants into the Learn section of LCI, so they get credit for being trained. And, if anybody has any questions or would like to get training in any way, please give me a call. I'm gonna be doing this again next year. Yes, so maybe I'll get it right. Maybe I'll get it right one of these days.
Thank you, Roger. I think, this year went very well, it was real smooth, and I think there's a lot of good information that we're going to out there as well.
Absolutely.
All right, moving down to the, chili cook-off. This is something we've been trying to get underway for over a year now. We had 2 false starts, and the third time was finally a charm to make that happen last Saturday. The weather was supposed to be sunny and 70 all day, turned into kind of overcast with a few sprinkles. But we carried on through that. We had 9 different restaurants that ended up participating on that Saturday. Let me just give a quick listing, because if you're looking for lunch, these are the people you want to kind of support if you can. We had Riverside Golf Club and Cedar Creek. They combined, they had 2 different chilies at their booth for that. Finley's down in Columbia had a nice booth and good chili there. Holy Smoke Barbecue was supposed to participate, but they didn't make it Saturday. And they're down on, in Urbandale, was there. Sunrise Cafe, right there on off North Avenue, little, cafe there. They came and supported Southside Grub and Island Style Barbecue. Both those are in the, plaza by Meyer on Elmer. They're in that corner plaza, one's in the corner, one's on the other side, but, make sure to, check those out. We had the Haven, downtown, the Haven Arrest came along with the Salvation Army and Captain Grace, and, they had a pretty good time coming. And then, we had, Sherry from Catering for All Occasions, the caterer, that Roger knew from their church, and she came down and, they had a good time. And so if you look for a caterer, there's a name for you, all right? So appreciate the restaurants and everybody that came for that. We had bands playing all afternoon, which were very good. We had the judging event that Al, the jury got together for us on our own. Brian Trainer was one of the celebrity judges for us, to get the judges trophy for that. The biggest feather in the hat, I think, is when I added up everybody that was here that day, we had 17 of our own Lions that came to help that day. And for a big event like that, I really appreciate the help and everybody showing up. So that was a good group to get here, and most of them stayed, either came early or like Mike had to leave early, so he was here a little early, and a lot of people stayed all afternoon for both events, so that was great. Great to see that, all right? And then, we did have TV5, TV3 since I, TV3's been coming, but, TV3 came in the afternoon, did a few shots and some interviews. Anybody see that on the news? Either Saturday night or it was on all those little Sunday breaks, so.
Carolyn Harvey was beautiful.
Yeah, Carolyn did an excellent job representing our Lions. So that was good. We had the drawings 50-50 during the day, and then we had all the bucket raffles. We had 31 bucket raffle prizes. Many were donated by Derek Dean and his company. When we add them all up for my gaming paperwork, we probably had $1,600 worth of prizes that were donated that day from different businesses throughout town. So that was huge. We had some big downloads. So, it was a good event that we had. I'd like to thank everybody that came out and helped that day. And a big thank you to my core committee that's been working on this over the last year, and most of them are here. Roger Bossy, Al Security, Kay Smith, Derek Dean,
Mike DeBoer.
and Mike DeBoer. Yeah, he's not here tonight. So. And then Teresa, helped us when she could. All right, so, appreciate all the help and, all the great work in making that a success, everybody, all right?
Do you have any idea of how we turned out? We were in the plus, we know that.
We will have a, report at the director's meeting next week.
Okay.
So as we're still handling financial and still, getting receipts in and things like that for expenses, so, yeah. Yep. The other thing on here, we're looking for committee chairs. I started my listing, so if there's a committee you would like to chair, make sure to see me tonight as we're putting the roster together for next year going forward. And I will start calling soon to fill my roster spots. All right, so but I'm giving everybody the opportunity to join in on what they would like to do next year, if you'd like to use chair for that. All right. Okay, and then we'll come back to the rest of it, and right now, we'll hear from our speaker. Mary, did you want to introduce him?
I thought I had to introduce him after he got here. I think more of you know him and probably more about him than I do. Robinson is Denison developed area for over 30 years. I was amazed that when you started this education, there was higher education at Western, and then on to become a dentist. But then there was this whole list of workshops and trainings that he has had, some of which I have probably benefited from, and I can't even pronounce. The next page is all of the things involved in it. And one of the things he's most interested in is service. And what he's going to talk about is the efforts to work with a group of people, children and women particularly, that are not getting dental care. So with that.
Thank you, Mary. Yeah. So, did everybody see the green? You guys probably can't see it.
Nope. No.
Beautiful. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about myself, since I know some of you. Bob Harvey walked in and he said, we came to Battle Creek in 1960, and my parents were the first ones that they met. So I remember being in his house when I was 4 or 5 years old, years ago. So I was basically raised in Battle Creek, been here all my life, and this is my 42nd year in practice. So, so one of the tell you a little bit about how I got started in this. My family, my wife Adele, and my kids all have gotten involved in mission service. And in 1975, I did my first mission trip to a place called Valley of the Angels in Honduras. I was a freshman in college, and I had the opportunity to go down there, and they were building a hospital, and I spent 2 weeks there and thoroughly just fell in love with the mission work. And then fast forward, you have children and expenses and college and grandchildren, and you all know the story. The money goes other places at that point. But I have 3 kids. My daughter's 37. She's a physician assistant in oncology at the University of Utah Cancer Center. She lives in Salt Lake. We're hoping there's going to be a wedding in the future soon, but we are not sure about that. She's been on every mission trip that I've ever been on except the last one. And then I have 2 boys, twins, that are 35. One lives in Niles, he's a dentist. His wife is an anesthesiologist, and we have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old grandkids there. And then Logan, the other son, and his wife live in Salt Lake City. And they have a 3-month-old and an almost 2-year-old. And so my wife and I, we call ourselves separated because she lives in Salt Lake City and I live in Battle Creek because she's watching the grandkids and she's being grandma. So I Delta and I are very good friends on a regular basis. So what I want to talk to you a little bit about tonight is, for 15 or 20 minutes or so, is the projects that we've done. The first mission project that I was on in about 2010, 2011, actually had to do with the Lions Club. And it was with the Lions Club in Comiagua, Honduras, one of the largest Lions clubs in the world. They have a full-time health administrator. And a really good friend of mine from Fort Wayne has gone down there for probably 20, 25 years now. Every year he speaks fluent Spanish. And they go in January when the weather is terrible here and spend, 10 days and just see orphans in Comiagua. So I've been there, I was there 5 years in a row. And we treated children in the clinic. They have a standalone clinic there with 4 chairs and then a separate hygiene clinic. And then we took teams and we went to the mountains for 4 days. And we worked in a school or a church or on a porch or whatever it took. And I thoroughly loved that kind of dentistry. I sit in the chair all day long. I'd rather be outside and working in a folding chair than doing things. So following that, my daughter it's kind of a long story, but my daughter finished a master's degree, came back and started teaching at Aftrica Academy, where she graduated, and she taught high school science. And the first thing she told her students when she was there, when she was a freshman sponsor, was, when we get to be seniors, we're not going to Chicago on a senior trip. So you better start raising money now. So that class raised enough money to go to Africa for 2 weeks on a senior trip.
Well,
And of course, they need sponsors, and we volunteered, of course, and with 3 or 4 other parents, and ended up with a group called Global Villages Ministries in Kenya. And that's got our juices going for Kenya. So my passion is Kenya. So we were there. So we were in Kenya for 4 years in a row. Actually, I was scheduled to go 2 weeks after COVID hit. And everything got shut down at that point. And so we hadn't been back until this last year. So Global Villages Ministries is basically a ministry that originally started with medical and dental teams of volunteers that did service trips in Africa and Asia. It started back in the early 2000s. And in 2006, it was taken over by a lady named Kindewitt, who is from Michigan, but lives in Kenya. Her parents were missionaries there, and she stayed. And it was basically to help girls that were facing childhood marriage and female genital mutilation in the southwest part of Kenya. So the focus became Kenya and specifically the Masai Mara region. So the Masai people are very, it's poor. If you've ever been on the Navajo reservation in Arizona, that's what Africa is all about. So Kenya is located right here, East Africa. It's on the coast of the Indian Ocean. The countries to the north are Somalia. You don't want to go there. You don't want to go to the north of Kenya either. Tanzania, Ethiopia, here, and Uganda. And it's around Lake Victoria in Kenya. So here's Kenya. So here's Somalia, Ethiopia, Sudan, Uganda, Tanzania. Everybody thinks Mount Kilimanjaro is in Kenya. Mount Kilimanjaro is actually in Tanzania. So Mount Kilimanjaro is right here on the border of that. Mount Kilimanjaro, for those that know anything about it, has the climate changes just like we have in Michigan. If you climb Kilimanjaro, you're in snow in the summertime. It's in the southern hemisphere. It's a long trip to get there. I was telling Mary when I came back in October, I was 36 hours from the time we left the clinic till the time I got in bed in Cal Creek. So it's a very long haul. But we fly into Nairobi. Nairobi is the capital of Kenya, which is right here. Nairobi is a very large city. It's when you drive through Nairobi, everything is either Toyota or Dodge Datsun or Isuzu, you know, European, Japanese cars, and they try to put 5 wide in 2 lanes. And they drive with their horns. And in between the lanes are motorcycles. And then there are what are called lorries, which we call semis, but they're not 53 feet long, that are doing all this stuff. So the Masai Mara region is right here in southwestern Kenya. The Masai Mara region is really the Serengeti Plain, and you've all heard of the Serengeti Plain. The Serengeti Plain is where the animals are, and it's part of the Great Rift Valley, one of the 7 wonders of the world. Great Rift Valley is a valley that stretches from Mozambique to Egypt. And there are 14,000-foot mountains in the valley. So it's a very interesting thing. When you drive into the valley, you literally drive what's called the escarpment, and it's a very distinct line where you start down the edge into the valley. Kenya has been, it was a British colony. Almost everybody speaks English. They drive on the wrong side of the road, just like the English do. It's a parliament for the government. It's probably one of the more wealthy countries of Africa. So the Serengeti Plain, this is what it looks like. And I'm sorry, these aren't super focused. I don't know. I'm talking about this. This is what the valley looks like in there. If anybody, you know, my kids were young enough and my grandkids, everybody remembers the Lion King movie, right? And you remember, you look at the plane and you see the one tree off there 50 miles away, and it's one tree. There it is. That's exactly what's going on in the Great Rift Valley in the Serengeti. So these are all villages, homes down here, and it's the savanna. Now the savanna will grow, the grass will grow to about 4 feet tall in their summertime. And then the wildebeest migration starts in Tanzania and comes up into the Mara. And the wildebeest will have about 150,000 babies in their migration. They go in a circle. They come to Kenya, they go back to Tanzania. They come to Kenya, they go back to Tanzania. When you were there in October, the wildebeest migration is going on. First time I've ever seen it. They are the strangest looking animal in the world, and they run single file. And they don't gallop like a horse. They just kind of pound, the front pounds, the back pounds. But it's odd. And they run single file, and you'll see a line 10 miles long of wildebeest. And there's always zebras with them. So here are the villages in the Mara region. The Mara region, they look like this. The people are herders. They raise cattle, they raise a lot of sheep, they raise a lot of goats. Most of the time, it's the women that are doing it and the children. The children in the area go to school, but they have to pay for their school. So a lot of the schools are private. And so to go to school is relatively expensive. I mean, $40, that's expensive in Kenya. They live in mud huts, or they live in tin roof places. All of the fences around for the animals are sticks that they put in line, things like that. We do have some barbed wire. The roads there, the first time we went was all 2-track roads. The Chinese have come into the country. The Chinese have done West Africa, basically exploiting the resources of West Africa, minerals, lumber, that kind of stuff, and they've spent a lot of money. There's a lot of corruption in the governments over there. And I'm not dissing the Chinese, but now we're on a paved road until you get to the mall. People are beautiful. People are they're amazing. They speak Swahili, they speak Ma, and they speak English. The natives will speak in Ma, or they'll speak in Swahili. We always have to have translators when we're doing our work. Some of the older people don't speak any English at all. A lot of the kids speak English. They're very colorful. They always wear beads. They made them. The first time my daughter came back, she came back with a wedding. It's called a wedding necklace, and it's from the neck clear to the waist. all hand done with little tiny beads. So you can see these are little tiny beads that make up those balls on this girl. There's one of the beads. And those are all hand done. And that's an industry for people. That's a way they can make some money. Everybody wears what's called a shuka. And a shuka is a blanket. And this time when we showed up, we each got shukas. I came back with 5 of them. They're cotton, and they're always colorful. They're always stripes. They're always pinks, purples, blues, greens, oranges. Very colorful. They wear it for, they sleep under it. They wear it for a jacket. They wear it for a skirt. You can wear it many, many different ways. Men wear them. They wear sandals. They may have shorts on under their shuka, but they're in the fields with their shuka. Many things. They also come back, funny story, the men all have a walking stick, and the walking stick is about a little taller than a normal cane, about like that. Last time we were there, the time before COVID, when my wife was there, she goes, I want one of those, I want to take one back. So she got one, and she goes, I'm gonna carry it on the airplane. You know, so we're flying KLM to Amsterdam, I'm gonna carry it on the airplane. Okay, well, she gets to security, and security says, you have to check that, and it's too big to fit in our duffel bag. And she goes, really? And she goes, okay, so she walks back, she and my daughter walked back, went around the corner, she goes, my knee doesn't feel very good. So she walked back with it as a cane. He said, you need that to get around? And she goes, yes. So she walked through security with a walking stick, went around the corner, she started walking normal. I said, you better keep on limping a little bit, you know, or we're gonna have to bail you out of the Nairobi jail here. So this was our second trip there. This is the group that we originally went with. You can see Adele and I and Tori right here. And this gentleman is a good friend of mine from UK and West Surgery. The guy I'm standing next to, Rock Arms, is from Cadillac. He's another dentist. His whole family went this time and meeting with various people. Kim DeWitt is who started GVM and is the head of the Omalika Trust right now, and her right-hand person among you. And this is what we travel with. These are big safari trucks. And to ride 10 hours in a safari truck on a highway is brutal. That's to say the least. Columbia always drove. We always like to sit up here because you can see over the cab. And, you know, if you try to pass a car here, you make sure there's plenty of room to get around it and get back in. Yeah, that's out the window. And you just go. And that thing would go about 45 miles an hour and just beat you to death. So good group of folks. We had fun. These are some pictures from one of our clinics. Brock is working with a lady. We're in a school in a village. You can see the people so trusting. They don't have care. So and they're just really neat people. Anna Rodick is another good friend of mine. He's a dentist. He's a trained dentist. He trained in the Philippines and back home. He just finished his orthodontic training in Austria, so he has to go there. He is one of 6 specialists in the country, in the entire country. Super neat guy. And I came to the U.S. to visit us here about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was really fun just showing that. We always teased him, he needed to marry my daughter, you know, because she's not married, and he said she doesn't have enough dowry of cows to marry, and because then he was raising 2 cows so he could get married to a Kenyan lady. So, and they now have a little girl. So the Omalika Trust is was the place where Kim has these girls that are facing female genital mutilation, everything now from infant to up to 18 years old, and they provide, you know, school, clothes, everything. Some of these kids have run away from home 24 hours to get there. You know, a 7-year-old out in the wild okay, if you think about it. It's pretty amazing. So they get provided, you know, shelter, food, clothing, school. And some of the girls have gone on to university and are doing really amazing things. You know, in 2021, Adele and I basically funded their dental clinic, and they built a new home there, and we provided the funding to actually build a dental clinic on the property. It's on 4 acres of property. It's fenced in. The girls' home, they have 40 girls, and I think there's 8 infants now. There's a home that Kim lives in, and a couple other people. There's campground area for groups. The dental clinic has 2 chairs. This is all cement blocks, stone that's cut by hand. That's how they build over there. Yes, they bring in a huge big pile of rock and rice it there and cut for it. And they build it all that way. So in 2021, after that was built, GBM became independent from the Omalaka Trust. In Kenya, that's a Kenyan organization now. And the trust was created to serve the girls. It serves as an orphanage, essentially. Sometimes the girls will go back to their families. But a lot of the men in the families, they may have 9 kids, 12 kids, a lot of alcoholism, those kinds of things in there. So in 2022, myself, Andy Penny, and Cam Sadler, and my daughter took over GBM. Kim was going to let it go. So we took it over as a U.S. based ministry, and our focus is on Kenya and Central America right now. What we're doing is we're partnering with people, the other NGOs that have a presence in a country that we can go and say, okay, we're going to bring dental, medical, and work with you to do this kind of stuff. So there's minimal dental and medical care in the Mara. It's very, very rural. If you're driving from Nairobi all the way out to the Mara, it's a 6-hour drive. Okay, in a safari truck or a Land Rover or something like that. It's paved, but it's still a 6-hour drive. In Kenya, there is 1 dentist to every 150,000 people. Okay. There are 2 dental schools in Kenya. Dentistry in Kenya is a technical school. So you go to high school, you go then 6 years to dental school. 70% of what you learn is extractions. Okay, so Enoch that you saw, he's really good at extractions. I mean, amazing. I don't want to do that. Let them do that. They're really good at it. When we got there, this time we're partnering with Humans for Education, which is an NGO out of Boston. Humans for Education has a presence in the Mara region, and they come in like Junior Achievement would and teach families how to run businesses so they can pay for their children's school. They can upgrade. So feed me. One family has done a feedlot for sheep because sheep is food. Okay. So they're teaching them to do these different businesses. And Yafe Parasad, who is the head of, she started it on her own about 6 or 8 years ago. She works for MIT in Boston. And this has been a passion of hers. She's about 30 years old and a firecracker, and we got connected with her, and so we went. This is the Lions Clinic. Now, it has nothing to do with the Lions Club. The hospital is called the Lions Clinic. So this clinic was built, brand new equipment from China, and then COVID hit and the doors were closed. Never been used. So here we are, this trip. This is what we traveled in. Nairobi, you can see all of our stuff. We wrote it to the top. This is in Nairobi. This is the Great Rift Valley. So you're going down the road, and this is what you see. It's literally like, it's not a cliff, but it's steep in the Great Rift Valley. The way the towns look, I think this is right. These are the way the towns look as you drive by. You see everything from huts. There's a lorry right there. Charcoal being made in the ditches. Very colorful. Everybody in Kenya has a cell phone. Everybody has a cell phone. Yeah, yeah. You see motorcycles, there'll be places, the car wash is like a 300-gallon water tank full for the power washer, and the guy standing there with a power washer. Okay, it's all dirt. Everything is dirt. So here's the Lions Clinic. This is when we arrived after a 6-hour truck ride. This clinic has a board of directors. It's really a hospital with no patients. They have a small pharmacy there. The dental clinic is on this end of it. And here, what the hospital looks like. Pretty reasonable hospital. Twin beds and a nightstand in each of the operatory or in the patient rooms. No x-ray, no surgery, none of the stuff that I know Dorothy, that we're used to in American healthcare. The sterilization was 2 dental sterilizers, and that's how they did everything. Here's our clinic when we walked in. This is what it looked like. These are all self-contained compressors that run everything on the chair. We turned them on. This one started to smoke. We turned on this one and immediately blew a hose in it. That's how we got instruments. They were just everywhere like that. And that's how we started to work the week that we were there. By the time we were done, we worked 3 days. We opened the clinic and we worked 3 days. I had the privilege of working. This is a Kenyan dentist who graduated. I worked with him. He told me, I want to learn how to do cosmetic work like you do in the States. But then every time, I was doing something, he disappears. So I let him do extractions and stuff.
That's what kind of stuff you're talking about.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Okay.
I'll show you. So, here we are doing what we do. It was nice to have units to work with. I mean, we had high-speed drills, low-speed drills, steering lights, stuff that we have in the States. But dentistry in Kenya, mission service in Kenya has become the goodwill for American dentists that want to clean out their offices, if you understand. And there's a lot of garbage there that there's no way you would use it. We do basic fillings. If my wife is there, we do a little bit of hygiene. Most of these people never have their teeth cleaned. We take teeth out. We're not doing root canals. We're not doing crowns. We're not doing any of that fancy stuff that goes on. We're doing basic dentistry. But here we are. This is some of the stuff we work with. People are wonderful. Nobody flinches. They don't are on their feet. They're just grateful for any care that you can give them. This is what you see a lot in the Mara. This is called fluorosis. There's too much fluoride, natural fluoride in the water. And so everybody comes in with this brown stain, and the teeth are hard as rocks. They are just hard. If they have decay, typically one of two things happens. Either have decay in the back, and it's big craters that are there, or the teeth break because they got hit in the head with a cow or something there. So this guy I saw one day, and I spent about 2 hours with him, and he had some decay up here, and he wanted his teeth to look better. And so all I had was my phone, so I just started snapping pictures. Ended up doing 6 teeth up here, got rid of most of the brown line stain, and he was thrilled with what we did. I didn't know what to expect when I got there, so I didn't have any of the sanding discs or the polishing stuff that I'm used to. I'm doing stuff with burrs that are round instead of flat. But he was thrilled with that. So here we are doing more work. This is our translator back here. The most wonderful thing about doing mission work is you never write on a chart. And there's you don't have to, you just come in and this is what they need and this is what you need. one day we went out under a tree and a bunch of school kids came, about 40 school kids came, and this was like at day 3. And by then I'd already, done like 12-hour days, 3 days in a row. In the middle of that, I told you that the hose lines broke. Well, they broke again, and we were MacGyvering things to fix them as we go. And we ended up getting through all the procedures, but all these kids I just screened out under the tree and to see what they needed and things like that. Translators. Both of these guys spoke really good English. They also spoke Mon. They also spoke Swahili. This little guy is actually a truck driver or a heavy equipment driver. The Chinese trained him. He drives bulldozers and trucks, and then he herds on the side. His parents have a sheep farm and speaks great English. And those two guys, I mean, I know how to fix stuff, but we made up stuff. I mean, the hose lines that have, 60 pounds of air pressure going through them. We didn't have hoses, so we're duct taping and we're taking apart needle hubs and trying to put them together and zip tying them just to get us through the procedures. And I taught these guys how to fix foot pedals, and every time it blew up, they were fixing it. So it was really fun. This is Daphne from Humans for Education. This is her Kenyan counterpart, Saruni. And this is his daughter and his mother. And his mother is 85. And you can see the chuka, and you can see all the beads and the earrings, and that's the way they dress. Unbelievable. Saruni is a wonderful guy. When we arrived the first time we were back, they had to have a celebration for the Americans that showed up. And so the kids at some of the schools were doing this particular school. Their big thing was hand washing. And so they taught people how to wash their hands, how to clean their hands, get rid of germs. So they had songs and poems and things like that. Just another visit. All the kids basically wear uniforms of some sort, so it depends on the school that you're at. Again, a gentleman with a shubi, you can see how it's tied at the back. He's warm in the front. Andy Penny, our board chairman. Andy is a sales rep for restaurant equipment. He lives up in Lansing. I know Andy for about 10 years. Great guy. He went with Daphne to see what the businesses were while I was working in the clinic. So we're trying to figure out how we can partner. We eventually want to get 3 or 4 more clinics going so we can partner with them. So he went out, played with the kids, played soccer, saw what the businesses did a lot of that kind of stuff. He's the one that had all the fun while we were working. So Kenya is a wonderful country. I'm going back in October. That's my pathway. But to show you some of we also get a day of fun when we go. And to go to the Mara and see the animals, it's like I told my grandkids, it's really fun to go to the zoo with Papa, but it's way more fun to go to Kenya and see the animals right up close. Giraffes are like chipmunks here. They're everywhere. I mean, in town, you'll see giraffes. So zebras, elephants are in prize. You sit in the car and they walk right in front of you. And you'll see the babies with the lions. We drove down to the Mara River, which is kind of the border between Tanzania and Kenya. When the wildebeest come from Tanzania, they have to cross this river to get into the Mara. That's I said 150,000 of them are, in this book, 400,000 babies are born, 150,000 of them are killed because the predator animals follow the wildebeest. And so they kill them. They have to cross the river, and these are hippos. And hippos are really fast, even though they don't look fast, and they're very mean. Okay? And in the river are crocodiles. Okay? So you'll see crocodiles. The biggest one I've seen, I think, is about 15 feet long. And the last trip, not this past one, but the previous trip, we were camping actually along the river, near tents, up on a bluff, and you could hear the crocodiles child get something at night, you know, there. This time we were in the Kids for Education building, and at night, 3 sheep got caught by the, hyenas. And you could hear them at night, so. There's the hyenas, okay? Obviously, monkeys, there you see them more in the woods. But the last time we were there as well was during the rainy season. And that big truck that you saw, we got that stuck to the axles in the mud. And you can't call AAA, okay? There's no such thing as AAA. So the guys that were driving were under there in the mud, getting it up on logs and stones to eventually get it backed out. And we were there for probably 6 hours trying to get it out of the mud. This is one of the big 5 animals in Africa. The big 5 are the rhino, the elephant, the Cape buffalo, the cheetah, and the lion. This is the Cape buffalo. And they are mean and ugly. And this is all bone on the top of their head. They're huge. They're easily 2,000 to 3,000 pounds. Easily. The birds are amazing in Kenya. I can't tell you what these birds are. My daughter can tell you all of them. She went with her Sibley's Africa Big Book. But the birds are gorgeous there. So one flying, that's a secretary. It's called a secretary bird, flying over the Mara River. Trophies. Trophies, you recognize them by their flat rear ends. They're kind of everywhere. The other one that's everywhere that I don't have a picture of is a Thompson's gazelle, or Tommies. They're small, little like a fawn, maybe a little larger than a fawn. There's the king. Okay. Lions are lazy. They sleep about 22 hours a day. Okay. The males are usually solitary. The females are usually together. And you'll see them underneath trees. We saw it this time. This is a picture that my daughter took for the 500mm lens. The last time she went, she was glued to a 500mm lens for like 3 days and came back with 10,000 pictures. She had this one. But the lions they're just beautiful. They're really cool. And the first time we ever saw one, you remember the single tree 50 miles off, we drove up to the single tree, and, you know, there's Simba laying under the tree, and he just raised his head and looked at us and lay back down. Giraffes. Giraffes are everywhere. The cheetahs, there are 4 brothers. There are now 3. This time there were only 3. 4 brothers. They're always in the mile. We always see them, and they're always together. So this time there were 3. We had lunch with them at our picnic spot, and they just laid around there. So we've seen 4 of the big 5. The rhino is the one we haven't seen. So anyways, that gives you a little taste of what Kenya is all about. Sunsets on the Mara are spectacular. Obviously, there's no light pollution, so the stars are amazing. Remember, you're in the southern hemisphere, so if you're looking for the Big Dipper, you can't find it. Okay. But the sunsets are incredible. You'll see rainstorms come across the Mara, and it'll rain a little bit, and it'll be sunny, and you'll see the one tree that's out there. So, Global Village Ministries, our website is globalvillageministries.org. Anybody that wishes to donate, we're always scrambling for money, looking for that. We're taking dental equipment and finish setting up the Lions Clinic in October this year and get that 100% up and running. We've got standard operating procedures, so I can give a manual to anybody that wants to go and say, this is what you're going to find, this is what you have to do, this is how you have to get a license, all that stuff in Kenya. and looking to hire an administrator in country to help run us so that we can go look for another site and build another clinic over there. You know, I'm still 42 years of practice and still working, but my passion is eventually to be in Kenya more than I'm in the US, because it's just a passion. So anyways, that's giving you a flavor of what Kenya is all about, what we do there, and I appreciate the opportunity to share with you. If anybody has any questions about the country, I'll give it my best shot. Bob? No, we don't. We don't see a lot of crops over there. It's genetic and it's food. It's diet. So you see, in the US, in my experience, you see lots of people, is anybody in this room on a CPAP? Roger, I knew Roger was, okay. The reason you're on a CPAP is because your face is narrow and it wasn't expanded far enough. So that's one of the reasons. The biggest reason for that is the diet that we eat. The Western diet doesn't allow chewing and that kind of thing to be supported. So faces don't grow wide. Noses don't grow wide. You have very narrow noses, you have narrow faces. That's what made the specialty orthodontics. Okay, orthodontics is supposed to do that. If you look back at research, you know, from the 1920s, that research was done by Weston Price that showed how a mushier diet gets the genetics so that they don't grow. You do it on cats, they don't grow right. Put them on a solid diet, an organic diet, they grow right. These people eat eggs, pork. That's what they grow. And they eat sheep. And they don't go to McDonald's. There's no McDonald's. They don't go to the convenience store because there are food. They eat totally natural. So you never see sleep apnea. You see noses that are very wide. You see faces that are very wide. They all have their wisdom teeth in function. So it's a very interesting, you know, as I in my career looked at some of those genetic things and some of those things, it's very interesting to come back and compare to what we see in the US and in Europe. So Africans don't have those issues. Now they have more of it in the cities. You can go to Kentucky Fried Chicken in Nairobi, or you can go to a fast food place, but not out in the bush. The bush is a wonderful place. If you don't mind sleeping in a tent, you don't mind animals, and you know, there it is. Great. Any other questions?
I think you're really good earlier, something I found, that I found in my relationship is how that the people coming to seek help they don't get their own aesthetic. If you're lucky, they have a local, oftentimes in the store. And if you did cataract surgery with nothing. And they were fine, they were just so glad to be able to see again.
Oh yeah, it's a good.
Like a whole new world. And they accept.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw as many people as we could see, but there's two of us, you know, one of me, and I got, 12 hours and I'm done. You know, my eyes are tired, my hands don't work anymore, and you know, you just can't see. That's it.
Yeah, do you see any snakes over there?
You do. You see, and I don't know my snakes.
Yeah.
But you'll see some on the Mara, that'll raise up. We've seen, spinning cobras, in places. Some of the places that we stayed, when we were going with, the Omalika Trust, we would come to Nairobi, we would do a clinic there, and then we'd get in the trucks and we'd go to Mombasa. Mombasa's on the Indian Ocean. That's the major port of Kenya. And we would always stop at a place called Savo, which if you've ever been to the Natural History Museum in Chicago, there are two lions that are there. Those are the Savo lions that killed the railroad workers in 1905. Okay, when the British were building the railroad. Well, we stayed in that place. And Sabo is built, the Sorova Hotel Group in Kenya is the Ritz-Carlton of America. So we stayed at their game camp, which is around the Buffalo watering hole, and we stay in these huts that are on stilts. And at night, the buffalo come in, the big buffalo and the giraffes and all of that stuff. And you'll see the spitting cobras in the landscape and the birds and all that stuff. And then we go to Boy, which is another watering hole, which has all the elephants in it. And you can sit in the pool there and just watch elephants all day long. Then we go to Mombasa. Mombasa is a big city. It's 90% Muslim now, so you don't leave the resort, but you're right on the Indian Ocean. And it's really fun to sit on the beach there and watch the Kenyans run. You know, Kenyans are notorious for being runners, and they run the beach. My friend Enoch is a runner. And so the last trip we were on, we were all taking bets on how fast we could run a 5K. And he's like 16 minutes. I mean, really fast. And he's just a little guy, he's not that tall. But that's just normal for him, you know. Okay. Anything else? Great, thank you.
Thank you. Lots of, doing some good work over there, and I hope that way that continues, and, great presentation, good program. All right, just a few things, run down upcoming events, tomorrow afternoon, we're meeting at First Congregational Church, to work on blankets for Maggie's Wakes, 3 o'clock, right? 3:30. Okay, so 3:30 tomorrow afternoon, if you can, join us over there at the First Congregational Church. Bring your scissors. 3:30, First Congregational Church, making blankets for Maggie's Wake. All right. Tip site screenings are listed on there. Teresa, anything, and Teresa's also giving, training for the district this week. So, all right. So those are all coming, and Mary should be in touch if you need some help for there.
We're also planning on doing diabetic testing on June 10th at the Cereal Festival.
Rolling right along into the Cereal City Festival.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dorothy will be doing diabetic training there, and also we're having a kid site trailer there. So, okay, so that should be a good, we did diabetic, it's kind of fun to do diabetic, screening at the Cereal Festival where everybody's eating Fruit Loops and Frosted Flakes. Right? Mary? Okay.
Yep. Some of you want to take a picture of this, I misspelled it, my fat fingers, it's Global Village Ministries. We do villages to get a, to kick you out of it. Globalvillageministries.org. Village, Michigan. Yeah. Global Village.
Okay. All right. Mary, on the flags, is there anybody we need to contact, or we just need to show up, so that needs to? We'll probably need to send an email out on that or something later. In a couple of weeks. Okay. All right. Okay, any other announcements before we get into the games? Hearing none, we'll go into the games here for you. All right. Who's got the games tonight? Harriet and Harriet. And James. And we have an extra special prize when we get to the membership drawing.
We have 4 drawings, The last four are 2416.
What's called ticket?
2416.
Red?
2416. Oh, anybody?
Gotta check my numbers.
Yes, yes.
Red ticket?
2416.
Here's your first donation.
Two, four, four, three.
2443. Teresa.
Two, four, four, one.
Bingo.
How close? Who knows?
All right. Katrina's got that. And one more.
Thank you.
And one more. Is 2455.
2455. Right here.
Barry, there was one of these things?
Okay, Jane, you got a attendance right?
Right, well, let the birthday boy draw.
I could draw my own, couldn't I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I could.
Okay, remember the attendance, you have to have been here last meeting and
Mark Woodford.
Mark Woodford. No,
No.
okay. Money rolls over for the membership. However, Jane, keep drawing. We have somebody keep drawing because we have a special gift certificate. We have an idle hour gift certificate that was left over from we forgot to draw at the chili cook-off. One of the prizes, so. Yeah. Look, Teresa, keep drawing until you have somebody that's here. So somebody's gonna win.
Judy Butler.
Judy. Okay. Okay. Card draw. Blue tickets. Muriel, Jim, Teresa, Mary,
Bob Ward, right here.
Bob Ward. Okay, blue ticket for the card draw.
And last four, 2943. I spent all my money on all the things.
What's the finance thing?
Two,
$238.50 a lucky winner. Now all you gotta do is pull the ace of spades.
Get them up good.
oh,
The spade with the forward spade.
Oh, tough luck.
Alright, money rolls in. Okay, happy bucks, Bob Harvey.
Whoa. $1, interesting program, thank you very much. And, hey, big day. Fishing boat went in today, so we're underway.
Hey, you want-
To the speaker. And, I'm happy to be here tonight, you heard I was gonna process this last day. Moved my car out, but I'm walking away from it, so I'm very happy about that, and the other people walked away also. Working with my grandson, he's probably home doing my dishes right now, and, it's a very good mix of things, we had a baseball game last week, and had a lot of fun, and they won, so we had a good time. So, I'm happy about that.
Well, a dollar for our program. Dr. Steeley, thank you so much for telling us about what you do when you're not pulling our teeth or filling our cavities. Another dollar for, great work this last April with all the projects we had, the chili cook-off and the White King and highway pickup. And boy, I tell you what, it's nice to have a month without a whole lot of stuff going on. Another one for the district training, and I want to thank Roger Spriggs for doing that for us. That was a great addition. A lot of people interested in that. So that's a great sign that people are stepping up in the leadership in clubs, and so that's a wonderful thing to see. And the last one is for our club and just all the great things that we do and all the satisfaction we get out of that. And I have another dollar for the speaker tonight. Great program.
Do I need this? Do I need this?
Yeah, you need it.
One for a happy buck for my birthday. 68 or not $68, 68 years. 86 years. Still straight. Dollar for the program, certainly, by all means. You're welcome, Bob.
Yes.
I have one for the speaker, that was amazing, really interesting. And one for a nice trip I had with my daughter, so.
One for the speaker and one to say thank you to an associate member who wrote out all of the 40-some thank you notes to all of the ladies that did pillowcases. She wrote them all out and then mailed them to me in a box. So they're on the way.
So I've got five, there's one for the program, which is really interesting. Three for the training session, district convention, and the upcoming state convention. Thankful that a lot of people are starting to attend that, because the more you put into the lines, the more you get out of it. So that's great for the future. And one for the chili cook-off.
Mine sort of a repeat of Roger. The speaker was great, very interesting. We weren't quite sure what we were getting here tonight, but we really enjoyed that. And of course, attending the district convention was fun. Roger even won one of the raffles. He won $240.
Well, she did.
He was the first one. Looking forward to the state convention next week. The guest speaker is our immediate past president, international president, Douglas Alexander. Really looking forward to that. Oh, the training, the chili cook-off, and my ending is God Save the King. We watched the coronation starting at 5 o'clock last Saturday morning. Had to.
Behind you, Bob.
Behind you.
I have one for the program. Thank you. That was fantastic. one for everyone who volunteers for the chili cook-off. One for the May birthday, happy birthday. And then, one for my son Cameron. Last night I had the pleasure of putting him with his EMS, pin.
Program, very interesting. How long did you stay in the U.S.?
We go for about, the last time we were there,
A week.
yeah, usually 2 weeks. And we walk home for a week.
And one for him, great weekend with the grandkids and my wife.
I just wanna make you walk a little bit more. I know you didn't do it on purpose.
Well, Robin's been his hands have been in my mouth for over 20 years, and we we share that same passion. How nice it is to not have to document everything, that you just go in and do your job and get the appreciation with the smiles at the end. I know that that's your passion, but I don't want you to leave that with faith in the near future. I've got a few more years around. The next one is for anyone who went to the chili dinner or the chili cook-off. It was a great time to mingle, and it was really interesting, the number of people that came and talked to us at the desk and at the membership desk. You know, I don't know if people will actually come, but I know several people took a lot of information with them and were asking about where our club met and what dues were and things like that. So it was really a good outreach for the whole community. So thank you for all of you who did that. We have gotten through that horribly busy 3 weeks of time. I get my husband back, but I shared with Robin earlier, our big thing in our house is our 3-year-old granddaughter has learned to ride her 2-wheeler bike, and all I do is walk in circles behind her because she won't let me ride my bike. I have to follow her, and I'm about 2 blocks behind her because she's going fast, but life is good.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Anything else? Thank you again.
I think that's about it. Take a look at your upcoming events. So we had a busy April, there's not as many now, so, but a lot of things to still, work on as to be in line. Thanks for all the help in the last few weeks. We've had a lot of projects and appreciate all the help, so look forward to going forward. See you at the board meeting next week, and we'll see you back here in 2 weeks to turn out the board meeting.